Oh no, it's one of these videos! It's true, the YouTuber curse has befallen me, and so, like every other talking head with a ukulele and a dream, it's now my turn to complain about my lot in life to hundreds of strangers that just want to know which 3D Mario game is the best. It's World. But for those of you who like to hear about analytics and inside baseball, and how the sausage gets made, and other confused metaphors, join me on this journey through the tumultuous years of tortured internet content strategies, and let's see where it leads us. To people who have only just joined me this past year, you may have noticed I have over 200 videos on the channel. Well, that's because I've actually been running this thing since 2010, back when I was relaunching my independent animation career following some tough economic breaks in New York City. Studios were closing left and right, and I couldn't exactly cut in front of other unemployed artists in the line when all I had to my resume was Kappa Mikey. Yes, that Kappa Mikey, the show about a Flash cartoon character living in Japan with what I can only charitably describe as quasi-anime characters. Maybe I'll do a video about it someday. So I created Deadly Space Action, a sci-fi comedy about an inept villain and his apathetic henchmen dealing with the bureaucracy and frustrations that come with living in a space opera. It ran for 2.5 seasons, and I'm still really proud of a lot of the work that I made for it, and initially, things were looking great. I had view counts ranging from 15 to 20,000 views on average. I'd then put out my pilot for the Puzzle Hunters, which to date has reached over 50,000 views. The Deadly Space Action season finale would reach nearly 30,000 views, and this was all within the first year of the channel. So, sounds awesome, right? I'm doing what I love for a living, and people are really responding to it. Well, let's hold up a second because I need to seriously recalibrate the phrase "for a living." These cartoons were coming out around once a month, and the average episode was around 3 minutes in length. As you're probably aware, YouTube's revenue share is driven largely by two factors, and this changes all the time it feels like: watch time and average watch duration, or AWD. So a 20-minute video that gets 30,000 views is going to have a much longer watch time and AWD. That's one of the reasons why almost every video you see about a retro game these days is a 4-hour retrospective. Now, YouTube estimates that the Deadly Space Action Season 1 finale generated $93, and if you're crunching the numbers at home, $93 is not a livable monthly wage. But I should point out that this is an estimate based on today's conversion rates. It was actually worse back then. And I would say that over the lifetime of the cartoon drive-thru era, I made maybe around $500 off of YouTube ad revenue in total. But still, view count-wise, things are going well, right? I post a few more miscellaneous cartoon videos in 2012 while getting deep into production on Deadly Space Action's second season, which launched in December of that year to the tune of 11,000 views. Okay, not terrible, but a bit of a step down from that finale. But then the next episode only reaches 9,000. Episode 5 drops to 7,000. By episode 8, I'm at 6,000. In just the span of a year, I've lost over half my audience. And maybe part of this is the same struggle that streamers have when they go on break or dial their hours back. The idea that if you're not constantly updating, people will forget about you. But I'd like to think that that sort of thinking was debunked by today's trend of popular YouTubers like Jenny Nicholson dropping a video once every couple of years and still hitting it out of the park. So I kept at it, and I launched a Patreon to help cover the gap on living costs while running a mini-sized season of smaller episodes of Deadly Space Action. And these registered even fewer views, averaging around 4,000 per episode. This element of diminishing returns would unfortunately become a pattern for the channel, and it's one that I've still been struggling with to this day. The Puzzle Hunters first season debuting at 5,500 views and ending at 3,700. Game Show starting at around 7,000 views and dropping to 1,500. Princess Nest starting at 7,000 views and dropping to 1,200. It was just the same story over and over again, and eventually I had to face the facts. No matter what the reason may have been, I simply could not retain an audience, and I had to pivot and do something else. Luckily, it was at that time that I managed to get my first directorial job working at Pencilmation, a YouTube channel whose deceptively simple art has attracted a ton of talented animators that still work in the industry today. You know Monkey Wrench? Well, that animator once worked for Pencilmation. At one point, Pencilmation was the #2 channel on all of YouTube, but like Icarus so close to the sun, the wax wings would melt in terrifyingly quick fashion. Changes to the YouTube algorithm and its confusing rollout of the Made for Kids designation would take a channel that was once averaging millions and millions of views all the way down below 100,000 seemingly overnight. And if that was just one person's solo channel, that'd still be okay, but this was a full studio with dozens and dozens of employees. So that was pretty much the end there, and the rest would probably fall under NDA. I bring that up to say that the YouTube algorithm is still largely undefinable. Many YouTubers have hypothesized about it, but we really just don't fully know how it all works, and at any time, a change can happen that completely upends many people's livelihoods. But for me, it's just been a bit of a time loop. Start off strong, have a couple of big successes, and then watch helplessly as the dam trickles out no matter how many fingers I shove in the holes. Whether it's because people lose interest, or the work isn't good, or some Google employee made a small tweak that rendered my channel invisible, the end result is the same. So that's why I pivoted to what you've been seeing for the past year. My second love behind animation is talking about indie games. Maybe I see myself in them, in every commercial failure or a studio sophomore project not having the same success. But I've always wanted to shine a light on all the obscure hidden gems that no one plays. And I've been having a lot of fun doing that, because it's essentially been a build-up from nothing like my early days. Some videos less than 1,000 views, some a couple of thousand, and then came my first big success with the UFO 50 deep dive, now at 70,000 views. And I want to thank everyone for the kind words they gave about the video. It was a lot of work to put together, but I'm still really happy with it. Then the Game of the Year video, 30,000 views. And of course, the John Lasseter video that hit the jackpot with 240,000 views. While these numbers are nothing compared to Austin Eruption or Jacob Geller or Pan Pizza, they all felt like significant milestones and stepping stones at this point in my career. I had managed to win back an audience and bring new people in. Perhaps that was hubris, or perhaps I simply forgot that I was cosmically trapped in a loop I couldn't escape, because the view counts immediately plunged back to Earth, and I would say that sub 1,000 views is my average at this point. Again, I'm not smart enough to deduce why this keeps happening. I've recently had consultants helping me pro bono with the channel, and even they didn't understand what was happening. They said my analytics were like nothing they had ever seen before, and changing titles, changing the thumbnail style, adopting better practices and guidelines, none of that has made a difference. Now, personally, I think more YouTubers, and artists as well, should be open and transparent about their income, because it will help with negotiations over contracts, and it will help set and realign expectations for those trying to break in, because it seems like every other teen and young adult thinks they can be the next big TikTok influencer or Mr. Beast. I also think this could be instructive to those thinking about creating animated series for YouTube as well, just so you know what you're getting into. So I'm going to share my financial details with you before I talk about what I plan to do about my channel. When it comes to YouTube itself, I make around $30 to $40 per month, and in order to get paid, I need to cross a $100 threshold, which means I often don't get paid for months at a time. I've also been streaming on Twitch for the past few months, and it's been a little slow, usually averaging around 3 to 4 concurrent viewers per stream, and only hitting the $50 payment threshold every other month. When combining my Patreon income and occasional Twitch income, my monthly revenue has varied anywhere from $320 to $480, barring any weird spike month. That obviously is not enough to cover living expenses in a major metropolitan city, which is where I live, though it narrows the margins enough to result in a moderate bleed rather than an 80s anime OVA blood geyser. But still, for me to be able to stop the bleeding and stay in the black, I'd need to be making about double what I'm currently making. You might be wondering what a successful video looks like in terms of the money, so let's look at the John Lasseter video. With a watch time of over 37,000 hours, my estimated revenue has been $777. Look, I said it was a jackpot video when I meant it literally. That would be enough to cover my living costs for the month, especially factoring in Patreon money on top. But for some people, I'm sure that's probably still surprisingly low for the amount of views and watch hours on a 40-minute video. If I compare that to my UFO 50 and Game of the Year videos, videos though, they track pretty similarly. 7,000 watch hours for $123, 25,000 watch hours for close to $400. So this may just be what goes for a standard rate these days. To clear Minnesota's poverty line of $16,000 a year, you would need to aim for around 70,000 watch hours a month, which would mean averaging close to 500,000 views.
Wow.
I don't say this to dissuade people from trying, but that's obviously not going to be feasible for 99% of the YouTubers out there, let alone anyone living in San Francisco or New York City or Los Angeles. Now let's look at a different Deadly Space Action episode from 14 years ago. Sorry to those who watched it, it really was that long ago. Take a sip of that for a second. Despite having 25,000 views, the estimated revenue for that episode is paltry, and that's because it's just way too short, having only 180 watch hours, and that's despite the average watch duration being nearly the entire video. So if you're an animator looking to become the next Glitch or VivziePop, I'd highly recommend you search for other animated series and pilots on the platform and see just how many failed to make back any of the money that was put into them based on those metrics. So the game's coverage is struggling, and going back to animation seems like a tough mountain to climb. What on earth am I going to do then with this channel going forward? I have thought about this for months. I have no interest in chasing virality and becoming one of those negative Nancys that complain about everything wrong with the gaming or animation industries just because I had one negative video that was successful. I'm also not going to just review mediocre films and put "this movie is unhinged" in the video title, or react to a bunch of AI slop companies creating engagement bait. I went in the direction I did last year because I legitimately wanted to spotlight and create visibility for cool independently made games, as well as talk about interesting anime and animated films. But maybe that dual focus confuses the algorithm, or it confuses subscribers who sign up for one thing and don't care about the other. With that in mind, I've made the decision to split into two channels, one with a gaming focus and one with an animation focus. This channel will continue to cover indie games, the game of the year, and occasional live stream supercuts, while the second channel will not only cover animated series and films, but it will also house all of my past cartoons, now re-uploaded in high definition, which they weren't before for artificial scarcity reasons that now seem quite silly. Those cartoons will also get commentary tracks on occasion, and possible improvements to art if I deem it necessary. George Lucas did it, and everyone loved him even more for it. Now, starting a second channel is going to be a slow process, building up its own audience and needing to clear various monetization thresholds. With that in mind, and for my longest time viewers, I'd like you to take a look at this. When Bonus Stage first went live in November of 2003, YouTube was years away from existing. The iPhone didn't exist, and MySpace had only just launched. The show Clone High had only finished airing that April, and sadly, it never came back ever again. Now, there are a couple of third-party channels on YouTube that catalog most of the Bonus Stage material, but they're working entirely off of SWF files, and not the original FLAs. With that in mind, Bonus Stage Remastered is a hybrid approach of re-releasing episodes in widescreen and high definition, while also providing some art fixes and source quality audio. But the word remaster is awfully vague these days, isn't it? Some developers use it to mean a basic source port, while others use it to make drastic overhauls. Well, I'm sort of playing off of that vagueness myself, because a lot of those early episodes are they're just bad, folks. And I don't just mean that they're 2000s edgy or have slurs, though a couple of them do and those will be ejected violently. I mean they're dull. Long shots of a character standing still with a looping mouth for 30 seconds, audio that clips with loud background noise, art drawn literally with a mouse because I didn't even have a Wacom Graphier yet. Sorry, now they're called Wacom 1 Small. So while later episodes will follow along the source port mentality, earlier episodes will get complete revamps, including updates to background art, additional poses, and completely re-recorded audio. My voice has pretty much never changed in all that time. Also, the gag of Julie and Phil having their voices swapped will get changed to something else. They're just gonna have their later voices and personalities from the get-go for consistency, because those voice pairings were what I always had in mind anyway. To solve the watch time dilemma, each video will be packaged with additional cartoons to bring the runtime to around 15 to 20 minutes, usually sticking to a specific theme. I know that some people would prefer to have the episodes just exist in isolation, and so I'll also offer them as individual downloads in the Patreon shop. And because of a burglary back in 2007, I only have the original Flash files for the first 59 episodes, so this won't be an entire series remaster, just the episodes that needed it the most. And who knows, if this does well, maybe you'll get an episode 91. As for my other shows, those will mostly stay the same, just re-rendered in HD and with some minor art tweaks to fix mistakes and add missing in-betweens. I'll also do any reviews of animated films and shows over there as well, so it'll just be 100% all animation and animation talk all the time. Here I'll continue to review and highlight awesome indie games, though as you've seen with recent videos, they aren't as rapid-fire edited as they used to be. I was probably cutting and chopping and screwing way more than I really needed to, and it occurred to me that some people really like to see longer stretches of gameplay to know if they might vibe with it versus, I guess, cutting up my videos like I'm making an extended trailer for the developer. I've also launched a Steam curator page so you can keep track of games I reviewed in the past, as well as other recommendations from my disturbing wealth of indie knowledge. If you've ever wanted someone to give Cubotrox a shout out, your time has come. I'd like to do more of these 50 damn good genre videos in the future, from JRPGs to point-and-click adventures, and I have some old Game of the Year lists I can make videos of in the near future. Lastly, to continue to bridge the gap between my water treading and making a better living, I'll be doing art commissions for the first time in years. I'll figure out my exact rates and post them on Blue Sky, but I'll be drawing avatars, Twitch emotes, any of your OCs in my style, stuff that won't take too much time away from my other responsibilities. And if you prefer to just make a single donation rather than subscribe to a Patreon, I've got a Ko-fi you can hit up here or in the description below. Although that page itself will probably never get posted, it's purely for people who just want to throw me a couple of bucks. But don't be shy about my Patreon either. I always try to post videos early there if I can, and I've got a shop you can buy cartoons from, including one of my failed pilot ideas from 2010, back when I had more ambition than sense. That pilot is also available here to anyone that gets a channel membership, and if I post any uniquely exclusive videos to the Patreon, those should show up in the channel membership section eventually as well, as long as I can copyright clear them. I'm all about giving people options, and any new music I might make for videos, any downloadable video files, those will be Patreon rewards as well. So ultimately, that's where things are at right now. I can't just keep doing the same thing over and over, so I have to shake things up a bit and see if that makes any difference. I have additional theories about the YouTube algorithm, but I can't really orate them until I actually experiment and see the results. I've had fans tell me that they haven't seen any of my videos in their home feed or recommendations, and the Scary Girl copyright block still lingers in my mind as a possible algorithm chain reaction. That video's gone, by the way. I gave up trying to save it. Maybe it will go up on the Patreon as an exclusive. I know this video has been a little bit rambling, but I thought some people might like to hear my thought process as well as see some juicy numbers. When will the animation channel launch? The original plan was to launch it the same week as Bonus Stage Original launched 22 years ago, the week of November 22nd. Wait, whoa, that's freaky. I might have to push that back a week, but that's fine because I completely forgot that episode 4 didn't really exist originally. I came back to it later. On this channel, I'll be getting right back to work on more indie game reviews, including the recently released Silly Polybeast and the Seance of Blake Manor. I want to get a Game of the Year video out in January, and so I'll be trying to crunch through as many 2025 releases as I can, even as they still keep coming out. Where will Skin Deep rank, or Mina the Hollower, or Squeakross, or Kathy Rain 2? You'll just have to wait and see. No normal Patreon credits this time, but I'll give a shout out to my indie darlings now. Tyler McBride, Game Trekker, Rob Scott, Thumpus, and Tony Domenico. And I have 2 channel members now, Glorch and Scarshell. Thanks to them, thanks to the Patreon backers, thanks to everyone that's had kind words and support for me over the past year, as well as those of you who have supported me since the 2010s or even 2000s. I'll probably never give up on my dreams, so I'll just keep doing my best to make it happen. But before that day comes, and until next time, you'll find me in another castle.